Hello everyone, my name is Ty Everett, the founding president of Project Babbage, and in this video I'm going to be talking a little bit about what is Project Babbage, how can it be used to help you create good apps, and kind of some of the fundamental concepts behind Project Babbage. So users in Project Babbage have keys. The keys that users have allow the users to interact with apps and with websites, including your website or your app, and with every other user they want to interact with. And apps just need to define the ways in which those interactions occur. Users have two kinds of keys. They have primary keys and they have privileged keys. The primary keys are for everyday use within apps and within websites to help protect user information and allow the secure exchanging of information that the user has with third parties and allow for it to remain protected. And no user interaction is required when you're using a primary key to perform an operation. But when you use a privileged key, you need to obtain user consent. And that's by having them enter their single password, which unlocks and allows access across the MetaNet ecosystem. And using that way of obtaining access, we can arrive at higher levels of security for user data. So these users have these keys, and the keys lock up the user information so that it can only be used in ways that the users are okay with. And the keys are hierarchies. So there's the top key there labeled A, and that could be, for example, the primary key, but then that key has many children, and each of those child keys have many children, etc., etc. And those child keys do different things. So we have the parent or the root or the top high-level key at the top of the key hierarchy or the key set. And that in this case could be the primary key or the privileged key. And then below that, there's different child keys that are derived from the root key or from the top key. And those child keys are derived in specific ways called derivation paths or just numbers that indicate how we are to derive that key from the root key. And then each of those child keys can do different functions. So one could be responsible for locking and unlocking a user's private messages or their private email, or perhaps one could be used for signing off and authorizing the payments that a user has sent or received using invoices or using other such things. So keys can be used by the users or with the authorization of the users through your apps to create and define the interactions that user wants to do and to provide the mechanism for the user to lock up their data in such a way as they want to derive, and also provides the way for their data to change hands and be shared securely with other users. So because everybody has keys, we can all share things such that they are only shared with the people who need to see them, right? So done in a way that the user consents to any use of their private information. And so each derivation path here, right, we have each child basically has a path, a way of knowing what that is, and we have we have different paths assigned for different things that the user might want to do. And those assignments are going to stay in effect across your application, but also possibly, depending on what you're doing, it could also stay in effect across other applications that the user is using. So if you're a word processor and the user could use your app, or they could use another word processor who competes with you, you could define a consistent way of using keys across those apps, and the users can leverage their interactions there. And finally, users take actions. So the things that the user does are actions. All of the interactions that the user makes in the MetaNet ecosystem through the Babbage App Engine are actions. And those actions are signed off with user keys, and those actions actually belong to the users themselves. So as the application developer, you enable the user to create actions, but you do not own and therefore are not necessarily accountable for the actions that your users take. But anything someone does is an action. So anytime somebody changes a setting in one of the applications, or follows a person, or any interaction that a user makes with the world, essentially actions are just descriptions of a change that was caused by somebody, and that change happened in the world. And those actions are created by users, and the user or the person who takes that action actually has to pay a small cost, because actions have a cost, just as they do in the real world. So your users can use your application to take actions and to perform other tasks, or describe whatever it is they want to do, and then those actions are now attributable to them, and your application will also then take a look at what actions a user has taken in order to interpret their intentions, in order to give them a good experience, and in order to relate to them the things that your application wants to relate to them, right? So to provide the service or the function or the useful thing that your application does, of course, taking into account the things that users have done, the actions that they have taken in a relevant scope to whatever it is that is being defined, whatever it is that you have created. So that's how the Babbage ecosystem works. That's how the MetaNet ecosystem works at a high level. Users take actions, users have keys, each key has a separate function, and that can be used to define all of the interactions that users want to make using Bitcoin, using any system that was created or derived, or that has anything to do with MetaNet or Bitcoin, or anything that the user kind of values. So that's a basic summary of, at a high level, what the Babbage ecosystem is and how it is useful. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you want to learn how to create things that work in this way, right, where a user's actions kind of follow them around across the different applications, where their privacy is respected, and where you can make money the more people make actions using your software, the more people that leverage your tools and your systems to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. If you're interested in creating software that functions in this way, the user-centric way, I would say the correct way that software needs to function, you should visit projectbabbage.com. You should leverage the Babbage SDK to create your application so that your users can do whatever it is they want to do in the most effective, accountable, and privacy-centric way. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. My name is Ty Everett, the creator of Project Babbage.